So I'll be honest, I've been dying to watch this video since it came out, because I kind of feel that lately I've been needing to kind of kick myself in the butt when it comes to the overall like in-game progress and stuff. As I'm done with like all the sprout things, like when you start playing the game, you start discovering, the little things about the game, what you can do, what you want to do, and whatnot. And I feel like I'm finally ready to get myself out there, but at the same time, I haven't really found a proper way for myself to do that. I don't know what it is. Is it the anxiety? Is it the lack of time? Is it like the inability to decide like what you want to do with your game time? And like especially when your game time is limited, like what is it that kind of stops you from actually trying to, be a tryhard? And I think this video actually might help me a little bit with that. Hopefully.
Hey Buns, so listen, lately I've heard a lot of y'all say things like, I'm not good enough for Savage, or Ultimates are way beyond me. I could never do something like that. Or I'm really scared if a little girl is going to beat me up in the extreme trial. All of that will remain true as long as you keep standing in your own way and you keep making arguments in favor of your own perceived flaws and shortcomings.
Funnily enough, Final Fantasy as a community is so much more open to new people trying out things than, for example, anything that I've ever faced in World of Warcraft. And it's so beyond me that I sometimes find myself to be one of those people as well. Just kind of being afraid to get myself into the harder content because I don't even know why. Is it trauma? Is it like PTSD? What is it that's like stopping us from getting out there?
Things rather than focusing on what you're already doing right and what you can do better. And look, I know there are plenty of people who are happy just doing casual stuff and hanging out in G pose, and honestly G pose is its own skills. I'm not talking to those people
No,
today.
that's a game.
G pose, roleplay, fan fiction. There's plenty of other ways to enjoy the world of FF14 that involve their own skills. That's not what I'm talking about here today. I just want to be clear. Today I'm focusing on actually improving your skill at the game, like the job performance and hard battle content, improving as a player, doing more damage, doing more healing, being more of an effective player. And people
Effective
often think
player.
about these things that feel intimidating, these types of content that seem sort of pie in the sky for them. That's how they perceive it. I did when I started. I was terrified to get in my first extreme trial and think of those things. And they're like, well, why bother? If I can just, there's plenty of good stuff to do in the game that doesn't require perfect play and isn't as punishing, and I can still just kind of toot around. And honestly, thank the 12 that not all the content in 14 is brutal and ridiculous.
I mean, I think the content has such a great balance of all the things you could possibly want to do. It's like if you're feeling somewhat chill and you don't feel like your brain is at a proper state of you, just kind of, getting your shit together, getting yourself into extremes or savage or whatever, there is something for you to do, something to occupy yourself with. But at the same time, uh, it's good to be better at the game, and I'm not saying this as some sort of elitist or whatever because I consider myself a dirty casual of a sort as well because I focus on a lot of side things that a lot of people don't consider actual end game. I love side stories, the little lore quests and Easter eggs and whatnot, and that's just kind of been my thing. But at the same time, I do love from time to time challenging myself and just kind of pushing myself, one step further and realizing that after a certain thing that I've done, that I've become better. And I think that's something that we should all experience as players.
Hard because that would be suffocating if the game was such that there was nothing chill to do to relax in.
That's true.
But with the ultimate race going on this week, and this particular one being so crazy and captivating to watch, I've been
Yeah.
casting it for Mog Talk a couple of days this week. This has stirred up a lot of interest in hard content for people that had otherwise never considered it. But now I see people considering it and then immediately stopping themselves from getting on the path that would actually take you there by saying that they feel inadequate or unmotivated or unconfident, or it's just so far beyond me, it's impossible, even as they dream about what it would be like to be in a group that manages to save redacted, save our boy, to have that chance to personally go back and see things go down differently. Like, that is a very appealing prospect that has piqued a lot of people's interest, and understandably so. But I think a lot of people have this misconception that, like, either you're a casual or you're not, like, or you just wake up one day and you are suddenly super, super good, like the fairy godmother of race.
Like, how does that even happen? Tell me the secret.
It just shows up and blesses you with a best in slot here. But actually, that is kind of what she did for Cinderella. Now that you think about it, she got a mega upgrade in her gear, like, overnight. But that's usually not how it happens. Normally,
it was borrowed gear. It disappeared at midnight, so it wasn't really real. So, it just goes to show that there's no shortcuts.
It's a really boring day-to-day grind, and that's going to be true of any skill. Like, any kind of self-improvement in this world, we love to glamorize the pinnacle of achievement. Like, we love to glamorize the ultimate or the savage rating, but what we don't glamorize is the long road that it took to get there, and that is a road that you can step on yourself at any time.
What's difficult when you're a content creator, and when you're let's say when you're full-time, like I've recently gone full-time, and when you're I'm not going to say pressure to push out content, sometimes it's very hard to find these, like, hours and hours and hours to practice and get yourself out there, because that you're somewhat on a clock, because you could technically dedicate a month, of vigorous practice and getting yourself into ultimates and whatnot that would result maybe in a couple of videos or whatever. But at the same time, realistically, even though they're quality content, they're also very niche content. Like, that's something that not everyone is necessarily going to care about, and you're also getting yourself to the point where you are just having a lot of downtime in your own job. So unless you are streaming let's say your ultimate prog or your savage prog or whatever, like 8 to 10 hours a day, or however amount of time you need to get yourself there, unless you have a community that supports your progression, it's very, very, very difficult to find time to both create that content and to get yourself into the content that needs a lot of preparation time. And that is one of the challenges that I've been facing lately, that I'm still working on kind of overcoming as I'm trying to work out my schedule and, be greedy and do both.
It's just an ordinary path of slow, incremental improvement, the day-to-day, the fighting dummy, the wiping on the trials, the normal, and very unintimidating, unimpressive failures that you've had, as well as all the little victories that have kept your engine running along that path, and all the lovely people that you meet along the way when you decide to pursue that path of self-improvement. So today, I just kind of wanted to make a case for why it's worth it and why it is fun, and why the path towards becoming a better player is, for me, the path that I have found the most fulfilling in this game. Like, this is the path upon which I have found lifelong friends, and I just want to see if I can try to convince you to step on the path with me today, just to give you some reasons why it's worth the effort. So obviously, bragging rights, like, success is its own reward and all that, but I swear, after I start seeing people who have cleared the Dragon Song Ultimate walking around with their weapons and their titles, like, I am just gonna, like, slash grovel when I see them, because these are literal god gamers. Like, this Ultimate especially, I think it has raised the bar of prestige. Like, we've never seen anything this hard, and something like this requires just insane precision, perfect play, and yeah, it might take a long time to clear an Ultimate, any ultimate, if you're starting from scratch, if you've never worked on improving yourself before, but nothing worth doing is easy. And if it was easy, it wouldn't be as prestigious. If it was easy, it wouldn't feel as good to get it done. And it is absolutely something that you can work towards. I would not recommend that you start with this. Please do not start with this. Because
Of course not.
It was nasty. But I mean, look, even savage clears, like the savage mount from the last floor of a savage tier, it's pretty impressive.
Beautiful.
Whenever the tier is still current and not like an old tier, you can just unsync and easily farm, you know. But this titles, weapons, and mounts from the hard content in Final Fantasy 14. This is the flashiest, coolest looking stuff in the game, and it's about glory. It's about earning your place in the halls of Stovokor, I guess. Another thing is that the better you are, the more stuff you can actually do in the game. Usually I recommend that people start with extreme trials and do them in the order in which they were released throughout the course of an expansion. You can also try the first savage floor of a tier.
To be honest, when it comes to Endwalker, I slightly disagree with this. I'm gonna go ahead and say that I found Hydaelyn as a trial to be much easier and much more forgiving than Zodiac. I mean, this might just be my personal opinion, but to me, Zodiac was just like very demotivating content. I didn't find any particular enjoyment in that particular trial, whereas Hydaelyn for me was just pure fun. And I would even go ahead and say that Zodiac is more difficult than Hydaelyn. Like we're talking about the 6.0 patch without the newest extreme trial. But most of the other trials from the previous expansions, yeah, I could see them entering this pattern.
That's usually not too bad, and it will build your confidence. It will like help you unlock the other savage tiers. You see more and more things start to open up to you. Ultimate you unlock after clearing savage. So it's a natural progression for you to do that. It will teach you about how rating works. It will teach you about rating mechanics and what you need to do to meet things like DPS checks, like basic concepts like that. And you have to do it. Like you just have to actually get in there and do it. And people are naturally a bit resistant to that at times because it's scary. I understand overthinking it and just feeling like,
and also like the amount of stuff that you can do that is not like I don't know, savage or extremes or whatever it is in the game. It serves as a good do you want to say excuse to not get yourself into that kind of content? Would it be bad to say that the game gives you like too many excuses not to get yourself into that kind of end game? It's like, oh, I'll start doing, I don't know, savages or extremes. Oh, as soon as I'm done with this or as soon as I'm done with that, like there's a plethora of like jobs that you can be leveling and you can be like, oh, well, I'll get myself into extremes. I just want to finish my, 19 jobs and get them to level 90. And you just kind of keep promising yourself that at some point you'll get there. But I think the solution is just kind of, breaking through that and just be like, no, I will not level my blue mage today. Today I'm going to do an extreme.
oh, well, this can go wrong or that can go wrong and I don't know what to do. But when you're worrying about that, you're literally doing nothing. You're actually just sitting there stagnating, doing nothing. And you're not going anywhere. You're not growing. You're not learning. It's better just throw yourself at the problem because the fact is that's what rating mostly is. That's what hard content 99% of the time is, you just throwing yourself at the problem and learning. And you will get more and more comfortable with that. The thing is that I can actually sit here all day long and tell you
it's similar to like I don't know if whoever you are watching this, if you're the if you've ever participated in like the high end, let's say university content or whatever, it's kind of similar to approaching like a new exam or a new test that you need to take and having like a bunch of studying to do. And over time, like as you're going through more and more exams, you realize that it's easier for you to overcome that initial anxiety of like approaching the studying for your final test or whatever, because you've already gone through that anxiety before. And it's kind of similar with the high end Final Fantasy content, I guess. You know that you've at some point been able to work through that anxiety, and there's no reason for you not to be able to do that again. So I don't know if that's of any help, but
you've got what it takes. You can handle more than you think. You have more potential than you think. And I do believe that for every single person can do this, but that is not going to work. Like not for the long term. If the problem is a lack of confidence, the only thing that will help you is actual experience in these fights and, working on your rotation, learning these basic concepts. You have to put in the effort, but it's not like, it's fun, it's enjoyable, it's worth it, and it will boost your confidence a lot. And I'm telling you, when you clear these extreme trials for the first time, you're going to feel amazing, and you're going to say, I can handle this, and I can do the next one and the next one and the next one. I can do Savage next. The process itself is really fun because as you get better at a job, it will feel less and less like random button mashing, and it's going to feel more like playing a piano. The more you feel like the flow to your job, it all starts to become second nature. And for me, that's an experience that I never got in World of Warcraft, which is the game I was really hooked on before I found FF14. Once you get a feel for your job's rotation to the point in which you can get in the flow of it and it's just muscle memory, you'll see how beautifully and how elegantly that layers in to the boss encounter. So granted, I'm usually layered into the floor. And in that process of getting better and trying harder content, like maybe even joining a static, you will inevitably make new friends because there's just something about facing extreme challenges, fighting a horrible monster, like going through a rough experience with other people that is bonding. As just human nature will naturally bond.
And what I've also been noticing in FF, like when it comes to the raiding community, people are much less patronizing, much less arrogant within these groups, especially when you have at least one person who is still in the learning process. And it's just such a difference between how things work in WoW. In WoW, it feels like you already have to be some sort of a high-end player to even get yourself into this kind of harder content, and it sucks.
Bond y'all together. Look at Harry, Ron, and Hermione with the troll, or look at Han, Luke, and Leia with getting out of the Death Star, or look at Legolas, Aragorn, and Gimli in the War of the Ring, and everybody else, and the Fellowship also. Okay, maybe you're not going to be best friends with every single person in Static, but you'll probably make a couple of friends, is what I'm saying. Just don't be a Boromir with a okay. And finally, if you happen to be a thrill-seeking type of person, if you are like me, unfortunately cursed with a brain that constantly seeks excitement and dopamine, well, this can be a healthy outlet for you. The rating can keep the kids off the streets, and because actually it's a pretty good and addictive high that's much cheaper and healthier than other ways. I mean, there's really nothing like the rush of clearing a boss that you've been working on for a long time, or even clearing a phase, getting past some important threshold in the fight. It can be incredibly exciting, and when you finally see that boss go down, so good. And you hear everybody screaming in the comms. It's just this moment of joy and rapture that you will get addicted to it. You're like, okay, well, when's the next boss? Because I got to experience that again. That was incredible. That will propel
that is addiction.
It will keep you going, keep that engine running down the path. So like I said before, progress is gradual, but it is also not linear, friends. You will screw up, you will make a fool of yourself, and you will die. But as long as you don't give up, as long as you don't stagnate, as long as you don't have a little pity party, and you do look critically at your own mistakes first before pointing fingers, you just try to do a little bit better than you did before. Ask yourself, what did I do wrong? What could I have done better there? Then you're going to be well on your way to becoming a player that anybody would love to have on their team. A player that when you join the group, people are like, nice.
I just really love her enthusiasm, and I think she's such a good content creator for everyone just starting out with the game, because she doesn't give as many in-game tips as much as she kind of gets you to do things with her charisma. And if you're a new player watching this video, you should definitely also subscribe to Zepla's channel if you haven't done so yet, because she is really helpful and gives you that confidence boost that we all need as new players in Final Fantasy.
There's that Giga Chad joining our group. Like, what a relief, because here's somebody who cares and who does their best, and who we can count on them to at least try and to give their best effort here today. So that alone is a great achievement. I have made some other videos about how to actually dip your toes into hard content that goes more into detail of like, well, how do I find a static, and how do I check to see if my damage is good, and how do I do this and that, what's my biz, like all these basic questions I have covered in other videos. So I didn't want to get bogged down too much in that today. I'll just link to that below. I really just wanted to talk more about why it's important, why the path is so cool and fun and so rewarding, and why the effort is absolutely worth it. I said it earlier, but it bears repeating. Nothing worth doing is easy, and that's something that I try to remember all the time.
Okay, some stories and quest lines that you can do in FF. They are easy and they are absolutely worth it because they are just gorgeous. But I'm just speaking this as a lore geek. But like from the point of view that she's coming from, it's definitely true.
And many different areas of life. Buns, thank you so, so much for watching. I hope you liked this video. If you did, please consider supporting the channel on Patreon or on Twitch. You can also support the channel for free just by clicking the subscribe button or by sharing this video with your fellow Warriors of Light. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye.
It's a good video, and you should definitely take these tips and this advice to heart, and just kind of let it soak in if you haven't gotten yourself into harder content yet. And I also need to take this kind of advice for sure. I really have been wanting to get myself into somewhat of a harder content, but I feel like I've mostly been lacking the time and good health lately to get myself out there. But this video definitely came at the right time for myself and hopefully for you too.